Hello and welcome to this connected conversation tonight, which is actually a panel. I'm super well surrounded with Imie, Michiko, and Kate, and we are going to talk about resources for mental health for entrepreneurs. And just I want to mention, this is a connected conversation to learn collaboratively. So if you're watching live, make sure you comment and take part in the conversation. Now, to get it started, I'm going to ask Imie to share with us a definition that we can start with concerning what is mental health in this conversation. So maybe you can share that with us.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, I asked my audience what mental health, what's the phrase mental health means to them. And one of my followers answered it to mean it's a state of wellness, cope with stresses of life. And in this case, stresses as an entrepreneur, so life and business. So our ability, our wellness state, and our ability to cope with day-to-day stresses and struggles.
Wow, thank you for that. And I like that it's a collaborative definition as well. It's what we're going to start with. However, it's not limited to that. You can share in the comments if you have anything else to add. And what about you, Michiko and Kate, before we start introducing in the questions, do you have anything to add to that definition? Is there anything you'd like to share about that?
I think it's a pretty good definition. I might add the word balance, like
Good, yeah.
That seems to be a word that works in this situation as well.
That is a good idea, the word balance. And so we're going to start with that definition. If anybody wants to add anything while we're talking, we can maybe create a wonderful collective definition by the end of the panel. So these are connected conversations. I'll be asking a couple questions to our guests today. I'm just going to mention that I am a connector, and so I love to bring people together to work on things and create things together. So that's what we're doing. And one of the first questions I wanted to ask, and when you first share today in one of the panelists, when you answer the question, you can introduce yourself at the same time. I wanted to ask you, what are some of the challenges you've seen or heard that entrepreneurs are having in the area of mental health? And we didn't design a way to say who's going to talk first, but if we can try spontaneously. I haven't tested it, or you can just make a little sign or use the hand. Go ahead.
So, hi, I'm Kate Gilbert. I work with women entrepreneurs to help them get more done to reach their business goals, and I run a group program called 30-Day Sprint, where we fine-tune our messaging and content creation systems for social media. So the thing that I see a lot is people just getting very, very discouraged to the point where they want to quit. I see a lot of isolation as well. I know that's something I've definitely felt before. And the other big one I see all the time is perfectionism that affects what they're able to get done and how they feel about themselves.
That's very well summarized. Does anyone else want to add something to what are you seeing as far as challenges that entrepreneurs experience in that area? Michiko?
Yeah, so my name is Michiko Tan, and I'm in health and wellness business. And I also call myself a molecular hydrogen enthusiast. If anybody interested in, I'll explain what it is. But for me, being an entrepreneur, the challenge is that understanding from the family members and the support. And often, like the people that I work with, they try to make their spouse or other family member understand what we do, but a lot of time they don't, and they start arguing about things. And also that because for me, I'm a home-based business, so I'm at home, and so I always face my husband too much time. So that can create some, I should say, just
Challenges.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
I think understanding of the family is a challenging part. And also, like Kate said, that some people feel isolated and some people feel that they can't do it, but they just have to keep telling themselves that they can't do it.
I have a feeling a lot of people relate to probably what you're saying. Just
Right.
even here, maybe.
And another thing is that because we are in front of the computer screen all the time, what we don't realize is that we're getting a blue light, and that actually harm our eyes, but not just eyes. It goes through the eye to brain, and that's how I heard some people damage their mental health.
Yeah, for sure. Physical factors, and there's, of course, we talked about mindset, but there's physical factors as well that are very directly impactful. Is there something you'd like to add, Imie, to that?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Imie Belanger. I am a growth and sales strategist. So what that means is really a business consultant, and I specialize in helping entrepreneurs and business owners get their ideas, turn their ideas into results through organizational structures and operational structures, as well as sales and marketing. And to me, the health, what I've been seeing lately is the struggle. I think around our age, I'm reaching the 50, and there's this. A lot of my colleagues are in the same age, and they are struggling with the menopausal issues. Of course, the isolation, as Kate had mentioned, and sometimes caregiving to family members. Not so much kids because they're older kids, but balancing all that and the challenges of being an entrepreneur and caregiver and a mom at the same time, and just looking after ourselves. These are the elements that really put our patience to test, and also sometimes create that negative emotions and uncertainties. And I think that's what I hear a lot from my colleagues and clients.
That is something I've heard for about my generation or older too. I've been reading on social media some of the challenges of much younger generations too. So I'd love to hear in the comments if some people would like to share. There are some specific challenges to mental health for every single generation, but that does speak to what I've heard as well.
Yeah, so it's not just the young generations, but from the young generations all the way up to retirement really is
exactly.
It's an issue.
I mean, and some of us are like the sandwich generation where you're caring for parents and caring for children. I still have a child at home. I'm not caring for my parents.
Exactly. Yes, there are some who are in between as well, and then we have yes, exactly. And some of the people I've talked to who are entrepreneurs, or even I've talked to people who are 80 or older. And then, I mean, of course, it's not always with age, but it can be the phase of life too that we can have more probability of facing some of those struggles, which can add to any of our mental health challenges. One of the things that I've heard, and the next question is about the fact that a lot of things that we see, a lot of things that we face are based on competition. Our societies, a lot of things are competitive, and that does have an effect on entrepreneurs, even though we're aiming for a heart-centered, collaborative approach. What would you suggest that entrepreneurs can do? We talked about balance, to balance self-care and success when there's all this going on, all the comparison or competition. So any tips, any things you'd like to share that can help entrepreneurs in that balance?
I read a quote the other day that was saying that competition happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top. And I've found that as I've gotten better connected to other people, especially women entrepreneurs who even are in like similar or the same sorts of businesses like that I run. We all help each other out. And like, I found it really rewarding. We refer each other, we support each other, we have sometimes co-working sessions and things like that. And so I feel like now that I'm better connected, competition isn't a thing I feel so much, because I've gotten to the point of realizing that there are a zillion people who do what I do. You know, it sounds like Imie does some similar stuff to me as well. But we're different people, and some people will really be an Imie person, and some people will be a Kate person, and some people will not really dig either of us. So
And that could
Totally.
cause hopefully that won't cause any mental health challenges, but yes, exactly, definitely. I'd love to hear others as well, because some of the people watching may not have reached that experience with the collaborative approach, and maybe stuck in either, like we were talking about, family members or people around them who are supporting the competitive, like, when are you going to make whatever, what's going to happen when, that's not very supportive necessarily. So does anyone else want to add something on that question?
Yeah, it's very difficult for us not to compare with others. And it's important we have to focus on ourselves. And yeah, that's very important. And then also the balancing between self-care and the business. I always think this way, especially my business. I have to feel good about myself. I have to take care of myself. And that way I can present myself better. So that state of mind is very important. So I do things like going to gym. I do figure skating, which I started recently. I'm turning 60 soon. But those things actually give me a flow state of mind, which is actually important for me to be successful in my business as well. So it's balancing, but also, it helps my business too. To take care of myself helps my business too. Mm-hmm.
That is true. And to serve, like you said, to show up and serve better as well. That makes sense.
I think what Kate was sharing is totally true, because the higher you go up the business success, the less you worry about competing with other businesses. I don't worry about other people because I know I'm different. I do things differently. And also, I feel like there's enough business for all of us. So I don't see that as an issue, but I know that a lot of my clients feel that and go through that sometimes. So it is an issue to a lot of people. And I like the idea of also balance. And I'm like you, I go out for a walk, I do my gardening, and occasionally I get asked to consult someone over the weekend. And to me, weekends is non-negotiable, because that's when I do my administrative tasks that I don't get done during the week. And also that's when I explore. That's when I do things that is outside the business. And then I try to go out and meet face-to-face humans, not just through Zooms and calls, but actually face-to-face, whether that's one-on-one or in a networking meeting. To me, it's part of the process of doing business. So I always try to go out, because otherwise I start to feel like I'm in my hole.
Yes.
My cubicle.
Exactly like a cubicle. There's a limitation there. Well, one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs have been telling me in different areas. Like I'm in Quebec, and there's some people even in California that was saying there's been a lot of anxiety in going back to in-person events, even now for some people, or it's just different or more complex. Or so, do you have any practical day-to-day strategies that entrepreneurs could implement to support their mental health, or whatever they're doing that they need to do for their mental health well-being? Things that work for you or things that you've experienced?
I've tried to stop being a perfectionist so much, because, there's only so much you can get done in a day. And if you're hung up on doing everything perfectly, then you're never going to be done. So at some point you have to say, this is fine for now. And I mean, and the thing is with online businesses, which I think most of us, that's what we're doing. It's not permanent, like I built a web page today. I can go in and change the text tomorrow. If I change my mind, it's not a sign that I've hung outside of a store. It's not something that's permanent. So I've tried to get used to doing what I have to do and moving on.
Mm-hmm. Maybe less overthinking, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm. Yes. What are some other thoughts and ideas that people can implement?
So I think when we, like kind of similar to what Kate said, but if we try to do everything perfectly, you get overwhelmed, and then you start getting stressed out. But I've been doing this. I've been asking myself, why am I doing this? Why do I need to do this now? And a lot of time I'm doing things for the purpose of somebody else, either to make somebody happy. Sometimes it's important to make other people happy, but if you keep doing that, I lose my focus and goal. What I want to accomplish is this, but I'm doing so much to please other people. So I have to keep asking myself, do I really need to do this now for my success? If not, let's put that aside. And if people wait for, a day, nothing's going to happen. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, the world's not going to end tomorrow.
Right.
And if it were to, I mean, we'd probably be doing the same thing. But that's just true, yeah. To not have those sometimes that heavy weight we put maybe on our shoulders all the time for some things that aren't really actually real or necessary.
In 2008, I founded a magazine that I ran for 10 years. And at that point, the editor of another magazine, who technically I was in competition with, but I had had a working relationship with her before because I had published with her. She said to me, like, this is some of the best advice that I think I've gotten. And it was just keep your nose down, do the work. Like if you spend too much time paying attention to what everybody else is doing and getting really worried about what this person's doing, what that person's doing, how is it compared to me, then you don't get anything done yourself. And you end up in this cycle of overthinking and, potentially spiraling a bit and not getting your own stuff done. So I just try to keep my nose down and do the work.
A good advice. Collaborative tip. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Like Imie?
Yeah, the thing that I practice a lot is really understanding that whatever happens, see, mental health is in our mind. It's created in our mind and our feelings, our mind and our feelings. There are also, of course, these issues. I'm not a medical, I have no medical background, but I know when I experienced this after I had my kids, I went through a bout of depressions, and it's the physical body was changing. That's what my doctor told me. So and I had done all kinds of tests, and there was some deficiencies. So I got that fixed. But I also realized that while the body was going through a lot of changes, and it's affecting my mental health, I was also in control of what I can do. So I'd start to really take fitness, walk a lot, and eat better. That's when I really look at myself as my body as a temple. And it's not just a body, but it's an actual thing that needs to be nourished.
Mm.
And because if we nourish ourselves, then the ability and our capacity to do more things and deal with other things will increase, because we all have that capacity to deal with anything. That I believe, because I think I've shared with you, Charlotte, that I'm highly spiritual. My father was a shaman, so I was born in the mountains. So I had that upbringing, and I've always been told that our capacity to deal with things is really underestimated a lot. We have huge power. So we can do anything that we want, and we can deal with anything that comes our way, because we are at the top of the food chain. You know what I mean? I mean, we have evolved to a magnificent human being. So that means we are really at the top of that ability. I mean, besides God, right?
Mm.
For those people who believe God, but we have that power. So I've always looked at it through that lens, that we have that capacity. So whenever there are issues and struggle, it's either something we're listening to our head, which is our mind is giving us all kinds of memories that probably through the past and other things, other experience, and also our imagination, because we have some vivid imagination. We can create all kinds of imaginations. We can make things up, really. Is that what I'm trying to say? We can make things up wildly. So when I realized that, I started to really create a distance between myself, my mind, and the problem. Because oftentimes we relate ourselves to the problem, but really it's not. The problem is there, we're here. And I was speaking to a salesperson a couple of weeks ago who I was coaching, because she failed a sale. So I was saying, okay, so how it went and all that. And she was really depressed because it was a big deal. And so I said, so this particular deal, this particular person, is it really who you are? Does the deal define who you are? And she goes, of course not. So you see, you're not a failure because this particular deal didn't go well. You've closed a lot of deals prior.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we just connected these things and, think it is what we're facing is a bad thing. But really, it's just for that particular thing. It's not an overall situation. It's not who we are. It's not that we are failures because we didn't close this particular deal. You know what I mean? So having that distance, creating that distance, and be aware that that is what's happening, it can help us realize that, hey, it is what it is. That's not, that happens. It's part of doing business. We can't close everything. We can't perfect everything, and we can't complete everything.
For sure. Yeah, that's
Similar to
really
what you're saying.
uh,
I mean, one of my clients is a life coach, and at one point I don't even know what we were talking about, and she said to me, what are you making that mean? And now that's a phrase that I use all the time when I'm talking to people, where they're like, well, I made this post and nobody liked it, nobody commented on it, nobody's buying my program, I'm feeling really discouraged. And I said, like, okay, what are you making that mean? Like, instead of going down the path from nobody liked my post, down the path all the way to I'm terrible at this and I should quit. I mean, there are a lot of steps in between, but I've seen people get pretty far down the path. You stop and think, like, okay, what am I actually making this mean, and what does it actually mean?
That definitely makes sense. And also, somebody wrote in the comments here on our video right now is that we stress out so much for other people. So when other people come into play, our children or close people to us, or like you said, an important client, a contract, something that really matters to us, that could change our frame of mind, perhaps, into identifying with the problem, where even if it's our children or someone close, it's still not exactly us. So that's another big challenge. And are there any specific things that you have or do during your day that help with your maybe mental calm, or in the arena of what we're talking about? I know, for example, when I take breaks, I tend to use essential oils that I don't sell them. I've learned how to use them. I actually find that being in a habit of that has helped me. So I don't know if that's something that other people do, but are there specific habits that you've developed to maintain mental health, or that could be good for other people who are looking to do so?
I have a friend who lives nearby who's also someone who works for herself, and we very often at the end of the day call each other and say, hey, do you want to take a walk? So it's not every day, but we try really hard to do that regularly. It gives us some social interaction. I don't have a partner, so it's just me and my daughter in the house. And so, sometimes as the only adult, it can get a little lonely. So I also do a lot of co-working with people online. And I do it sometimes with strangers through a service that's called FocusMate that I really like and I highly recommend. And I've actually met I've met one of my best friends I met through FocusMate. And then I also have certain friends who we meet up and we work together online really regularly and like set goals and check in with each other.
So like 2 by 2 people that you connect with, or are those groups online?
Both. I've done both. So
That's a great suggestion, because anyone can set that up with an accountability partner or with groups that exist. Like you said, maybe we can share that link in the comments as well. Are there other habits that Michiko or Imie that you have, or tips, tools that you use specifically during the day that help?
Well, yeah, don't be afraid to jump into any new group. I belong to many network group, because that way you always have people to talk to. And, there's always somebody who you feel connected. So yeah, that's important. And yeah, I use essential oil too, but I also, like I said, I'm molecular hydrogen enthusiast. That's because drinking hydrogen, when I feel sluggish, it really helped me. So, right. But, basically if you stop talking to people, it's easily you just shut yourself into the, little cave and start digging the hole. So
Yeah, that's 2 great tips. That's the same when we have young children. I know when I was home with my young children, going out every day was super important, at least once a day. And if we're home alone working, we may not have that same, if we don't have a dog or children. I don't know. It's good to have a partner, someone that we can go walk with or talk with online. Are there any other habits or tips to share that you'd like to say?
For me, I go for walks. I try to keep my body moving. I either go for a walk, I do things in the house, I clean or organize, because it just takes my mind off of whatever is the task that is stressing me.
Mm-hmm.
Or oftentimes my neighbors, I talk to my neighbors, they invite me for cocktails.
Yeah.
Or when it's warmer outside, I go out and plant something, or I garden inside as well.
Mm-hmm.
Books that is not related to business, so that way I kind of shut down my strategy mind that's
Yeah.
always planning and
Mm.
strategizing. So I shut that off and just read nonfiction. And what else I do? I think that's the main thing. I do yoga occasionally, but I should actually get back to it. But that's part of what I do.
I like that. There's so many different things related to, I guess, experience, trials, and trying different things, and also maybe hearing ideas and having invitations. So these are all very helpful for people watching. If you want to add some of what you have, either tools that you use. I have a couple online tools that I use that I find help me to remain balanced, or like you said, focus and stepping back. I think that was something that you said, Imie, about perhaps the CEO mindset in our business being
Exactly.
yeah.
Just like you're in charge of your emotion and your mindset. That's really my,
Yes.
you are the CEO, you are the power that creates these things. So if you can control that, I know oftentimes it's hard to, especially when you have that cloud that's just, over you, then you need to get that moving, that body moving. You need to
Mm-hmm.
change space. And this is one of the things that I've learned from a yogi as well, is to change space. Sometimes I just take my computer away from my desk and go somewhere else and work there, because changing space is changing environments. If it's warmer, not right now, but during the summer or when it's warmer, I take my laptop and go work outside, take some vitamins
Mm-hmm.
sun, and different change of environment. Or I go to a Starbucks and work there. Co-working is good, but essentially you need to take charge and you need to change something, however small the change, even if it's just tiny step forward. You need to bring yourself to that change, because nobody else will do that for us. So we need to take the initiative and move something forward. Move a cup from there to there, move the body from there to there. It doesn't matter, as long as there's change of position, there's change of condition, there's change of mindset, and sometimes the change of feeling.
It's true, like a reset, kind of a potential for a reset. What I have heard for some people, for example, who have experienced depression or something like that, is the impression or the sensation of not being able to set that mindset in the way that they wish. So we can talk about also looking for support, delegating, going for help. What the question I have for you is, what importance have you seen of building a support network, and networking, building that support? We talked about it a little bit, but it could be a support with personal friends and family. But I think, what do you think about support from entrepreneurs or network of entrepreneurs? How do you see that affecting this or helping in this situation?
I think it's absolutely vital.
Mm.
I feel like I do a better job. I'm connected to people who are in the same place as me, or people who are ahead of me in their business, and I get a lot of support and energy there and mentorship. So I feel very fortunate with where I am right now with that. And looking back to Kate a few years ago, I'm like, oh, I see what was missing.
Mm. Wow. So like a network is almost a kind of a mirror and a space to grow as well. And
For sure. I think, by being connected to people who are in the same space as you, of course, you have like somebody to commiserate with when you have a frustrating
Mhm.
day, but also being connected with people who are, more successful than you or who have been a lot around
Mhm.
longer than you also get perspective. And I've been fortunate to have some people who've been very generous with me with their time and their knowledge and support. So
That's probably good for their mental health. Also being generous and I was reading some research on how gratitude and serving, like volunteering, is helpful to even some physical conditions. I'm not saying that's medication, but it's that's something that's been demonstrated, scientifically. So are there some other thoughts on how business network or having that built that network can help in these situations? Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, dealing with different people, sometimes outside of your work, and it really helps. And to deal with different personalities, understand that what you think is not just everything. Each person has a different viewpoint. And another thing I think it's important is the energy and vibe coming from people, and spending time with people with good energy. It makes me feel great after meeting the person, chatting, laughing. Of course, laughing is really, good thing for all of us
That's
to
true.
do.
I was
Right.
gonna say
But
that. Yeah,
if
laughter
you're
itself.
right, if you're sitting in my, if I'm sitting in my room by myself, I'm not gonna laugh unless I'm watching some.
But why not? Why not?
Oh, I've scrolled through Facebook pages when I need to. There's Facebook pages that I know will make me laugh, like if I need a break or something. But yeah, it's kind of laughing alone is not something we all necessarily do. But that's a good point. Yeah.
I like that point that you made, Michiko, because that's part of the change that I was talking about as well. So when you move from your own space to another space and meet other people with different point of views, different activities, and different insight, you kind of detach yourself from your own little universe here, and you're going in there and you go, oh, okay. And then now you can see your own situation from the outside instead of from the inside. Because
Exactly.
when you're inside that mess of a ball of a problem. Out of it, then you
Mm.
can see it from the outside. And that's also why we all need a coach.
Yes,
See?
coaches and mentors
A
is another
mentor.
thing. Mhm.
And Kate, you're totally right, because you also need to hang out with people that are ahead of you, that have more what do you call that? It's not better than you, but they're more a different level. That would be the right word that I was looking for. At a different level business wise, so you can extract some of that energy and some of that intelligence, so that you can see your own little thing here from that point of view as well. So I think that's totally important to have a business mentor, business coach, business girlfriend to connect to, who can support you that way. So it helps unstuck you from whatever mess you're in.
right.
And I think I heard something like this. I don't remember the resource, but of the information, but it's actually scientifically true that people are actually releasing some kind of chemical, so that if somebody is very successful in your field, being with the person for a long period of time, you are actually receiving, I don't know what it's called, but something that that person is releasing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I said energy, but it's more than that. Maybe Charlotte,
Yes,
you
but
can
there
do
are
research and
yes, there's some that I like to read research on, but I won't go into it now. But on the study of humans as interactions
Mhm.
rather than individual beings. So there's scientific research that demonstrates that we're not actually, separate,
Mhm.
solid beings with nothing in between. Kind of like we talked about trees, how trees communicate in a way that's not visible. Well, there are elements, physical elements that yeah, that are between humans.
There's speaking of that, it's another angle is the ancient knowledge that not everybody know, and whether that can be proven scientifically or not. I know that from my ancestors that knowledge was being passed on through connection, not verbally or not in writing, because people weren't educated as we are now. In my culture, or in my tribe, there was no written rules or written instruction on how to pass on ancient knowledge. So my father, when as a shaman, he didn't learn through books. He didn't learn it from another person. But when they have this group where they learn collectively, and they're not really the kind of intelligent, educational, or because they're intelligent, but I should say they're not teaching in the way we know how teaching is supposed to go. So they're not imparting knowledge in the way we think now, the way it is now, through verbal communication and through writing, but rather that collective thoughts and transmission. Whether that can be proven or not, I don't know, but that's how it was before, from how my ancestors have learned ancient knowledge that is passed on to the generations.
Yeah,
So
there are studies like that.
valid
Some
connection there.
there are some studies that refer to something similar to that. I'm not saying that there have to be scientific studies for something to be true. It's just that I like to refer to those. But there are some about, and I'd like to think that this panel is based on that topic of collaborative conversations. It's hard to establish why exactly and how is it that new concepts or new understanding of situations come from a conversation. That's something that I'm really super interested in. And what you're sharing is really some wisdom from many people trying this. It works. It works. I think we have a lot of examples of that. One of the things too that a lot of entrepreneurs I'm hearing from them, and it's true for myself too, so many changes that have happened around the world, and that have happened since forever, but also in the last couple of years. So we keep talking about shifting and pivoting and all that. So in a rapidly changing business environment, how can entrepreneurs adapt and still be able to face the challenges that can prioritize their mental health? Because we have heard about there being crises in that arena for a lot of people. And what do you see that people can do about the adapting really quickly to a very changing environment, economically, business-wise? Do you have any thoughts about that? Or experience? Have you had to change in how, maintain a business and adapting at the same time? Quite a challenge. So
I think you have to find some middle ground between, constant like change and pivoting and chasing after the thing you think is going to work, maybe, and sticking with something to give it time and to continue doing things that are true to who you are and how you function. I mean, I like technology, so I mean, I've definitely like I'm pretty quick to pick up new apps or new services or things like that, and to see them and to figure out if I can put them into use. But I'm also, not attempting to automate my entire life with, with services. So
That's a good point. Thank you. I use apps are practical, but some off screen time may as well also be good. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Adapting to the quick changes at the same time as we may be having all these mental health challenges.
Yeah, I think flexibility is important. And yeah, also know yourself, what you really want.
Mm.
And, the changes, I mean, this is time of the period, the change was so drastic. But change is always there, no matter what. So you just have to know that. But then if you lose yourself, it's so hard. But if, we know what we want and stick to that and be flexible.
I mean, also, even if things change all the time, we're still dealing with people, right? Like,
totally.
we're serving people, selling to people, hiring people. I don't think people have actually changed that much. It's just the environment and the, what we live with in terms of, the news or technology or whatever. That's what's changing. But if you concentrate on the people that you're serving and that you're speaking to, then maybe that makes things a little clearer.
I mean, we're evolving. We're constantly evolving, and the world is revolving. It's revolving. It's revolving. The sun rises and sun comes down. So, and there's winter and there's spring. So it's always changing. And the way I see it is that, like Michiko said, if you know where you're going, if you know who you are, and you know where you're going, you have your North Star, and strategy, you got your plan, you know where you're going, you know what to do. Doesn't matter what changes, you're riding it. It's just like you're riding the boat, you're steering the boat through the waves of change and through the upheavals. Maybe there's a storm, but you're still riding the boat from ups and downs, because you have that direction, you know where you're going, you have your map, you have your, what do you call that shows north and south,
the compass,
have your compass, you know which way to go. And when you have that, it doesn't matter if there's a storm, big or small, tsunami or whatever, you know that you need to ride towards that North Star.
like a
That's
captain.
how I would
like someone.
When you lose that, then you get bothered by little things here and there, and that's really stressful.
Yeah, we talked about distractions and how that can be an issue, and we choose what we focus on. What are distractions? So to qualify those, I'd love to know, before we're getting closer to the end here, and I'll ask you for some thoughts before, if there's anything you want to add before we leave. But I wanted to ask you if there's anything, because in the comments under the video, you can go and share your business information, anything you want to share. People who are watching as well, there's no, you can share whatever you want to share. We weren't promoting any specific products or services in this video, but I'd love to know if you do have something that you would like to share, that you can, how you can help, or what is there something that you can offer to people, either in your experience or your expertise, so people who are watching in this arena of, working and taking care of our mental health.
Well, I really believe in the community. So if you can't fix something, you can't figure out something, stop trying, because there's a lot of intelligent people around you. Really. Instead of spending hours and days curled up, do something, speak to somebody. People are available. And don't be afraid to ask. you connect and have people around you to connect with, and just you need to rise up. You need to, it doesn't matter if it's sometimes difficult and our ego can get in the way. You know, we have that. We know all that. We go
For
through.
sure.
You're not just the only person that is going through that. We all go through that. And so we need to connect and we need to approach somebody. Yesterday, not yesterday, last month, it's another one yesterday, I posted something and she goes, when you said, if you don't know if you're coming or going, talk to me. I don't even remember where I posted that. And she contacted me.
Cool.
And that's really simple. You connect with somebody because they, more than likely, they are available for you. Afraid to ask. And that's one of the things that is an entrepreneur and executive skill, is the ability to ask for help, because we may be geniuses in our own ways, but sometimes we just can't figure something out. It's totally normal.
Exactly. Human.
Yeah.
And yes, exactly. We need other people. For sure.
I call you sometimes, like we chat. So
yeah,
that is normal. That should be a standard operating basis of a business owner.
that is true. We should have that in business school.
SOP, call somebody when you're down.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that would be helpful to people who are watching?
I think if you can approach your business a bit like a scientist, with a sense of curiosity and experimentation, and also, a sense of play, like, what happens if I do this? I wonder what happens if I do this. Then it's a lot easier to weather the storms that happen, or the frustrations or the disappointments, because you can say, oh, well, that post didn't do well. And instead of saying, this means something about me, I can say,
or people don't like me.
Yeah, exactly. I can say, like, okay, well, maybe it's the time of day I posted it, or I wonder if I presented it in a different way, or maybe there was a giant news thing that came out at the same
Yes.
time. There's only so many things you can control. So if you like, I do things to amuse myself in my posts. There are lots of little jokes that I think lots of people don't get, but it amuses me. So I keep doing it.
Exactly. It can be for ourselves too sometimes,
Yeah.
That's a good, to take it lightly too, in a way, to not take things too seriously. Exactly. Reframe it.
I like that. I like that. Don't take life and business too seriously. I really like that.
Exactly. So for sure, what we do is helpful, but doesn't mean that every single minute of every single day or everything we do is like so important as we may think. A conversation with someone else might help us see that too. So, Michiko, is there something you'd like to add as well?
Yeah, I agree with both of Imie and Kate. And whatever, in a lot of time, we get affected mentally by what other people say, what other people may be thinking, which we don't even know. But we just have to detach ourselves from that and say, whatever other people are saying, whatever other people are doing has nothing to do with me and have no control. So just have to keep me going instead of worrying about.
Exactly. We're in charge of ourselves. That's really true. Are there any last thoughts before we end off? I want to make some announcements before we end, and just want to check if there's anything else you'd like to add to that.
One last thing I would like to say is rest is productive.
Yes.
is my motto right now
Mhm.
for myself. And I'm not always good at remembering that, but I'm trying to remind myself that rest is productive and necessary.
Mhm. That's something too, to be able to sleep. So, yes, and to actually do it. And also, I'd say naps. Adults can take naps too, and they can be intentional, like at a certain time, and
I'm a
it's
gold
okay.
medal napper.
Yeah, that's something that just auto reminder, but also for people who need to know that.
Sleep
Yeah.
for me really is non-negotiable. I
Mm.
need to sleep.
Yeah, me too.
Mm. That's we all agree on that. Tried and tested. Scientific, majority win here. We do have other panelists. They are French speaking, so they will be so we'll be talking French now. No, I'm just joking. The next panel on the same topic will be next week with French speaking panelists, and
Okay.
you should be able to follow it with the subtitles. So I'd love to know, people watching here on Facebook, some people seem to be able to have access to the translated subtitles. Some people don't seem to have access to them. So I'd love to know, if you're watching this and you're French speaking, for example, can you understand what we're saying? And if you have enjoyed this format, I hope so, people watching and the panelists, I'd love to get your feedback on the format, on how we're doing it. And why not have something like this every month, every other month? Perhaps not on the same topic, but other topics that are important to entrepreneurs, so we can learn together and find, maybe not solutions, but create together even better lives and better, businesses with all of this, especially better daily lives. I think life is lived on a daily basis, so that's important. And the whole balance issue too. The whole balance issue sometimes
That's a whole new topic.
whole new topic. Exactly.
Balance.
That is exactly something that, because balance could be over a day, could be over a week, could be over phases of life. So it's a really, really interesting topic. Kind of like when we talk about food in our plates and our meals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, Kate. So thank you so much for the three panelists here, Imie, Michiko, Kate, and please share your information in the comments under the video. We'll share it as well where we are on social media. And I look forward to the next panel next week. And perhaps you can come back to the next panel on another topic. I would love to have you back. So thanks again. Very, very, very
Fun.
thankful.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
having us.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it very much. And have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies.